Oh, this is gonna be crazy. Whoa, whoa, that was great.
Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of SpraynPray1000's Verdict. I am SpraynPray1000, and today we are going to be reviewing, actually, it's a funny episode. I have a choice between one or two different I have a choice between two different games, but I think I'm going to start with the one that I beat first out of the two. Today I'm going to talk about Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut. This is going to be interesting because Deus Ex Human Revolution was actually a game that I played back in early, I forget when it was actually. I think it was late 2011, early 2012. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. That's probably when it was. And basically, I loved the hell out of that game. I thought it was so interesting. The only thing is I didn't like that I recorded it using my Dazzle, which meant that I really couldn't see much, because the Dazzle is a very, very small thing, the way you use it if you don't have a TV. But I really enjoyed playing this game again, so pretty much for the most part, I'm going to try and blaze through this review as fast as possible while hitting all the key points, just largely because, one, I'm doing other stuff today, and two, it's not an old game, but pretty much I've said all I need to say about this game. So, let's begin. Deus Ex Human Revolution is a first-person action-adventure stealth game developed by Eidos Montreal, I believe, and other varying companies, and published by Square Enix. In it, you play as Adam Jensen, a security chief in the near future for a corporation called Seraph Industries that specializes in cybernetic limbs, prosthetics. And on the verge of a major breakthrough, they get attacked. Adam Jensen, the player character, gets mortally wounded, and the only way that they are able to save his life is to heavily augment him. And augmentation in this game is basically taking the human body and adding a bunch of mechanical parts to it, basically adding prosthetic limbs, adding chips and stuff into the brain, and basically cybering them, making them half man, half something else. And in this universe, at the time, it's a very controversial thing. Yeah, it has the potential to help people, but also it changes what it means to be human, and that's a point of tension along a lot of the different parties throughout the game. Is this ethical? Is it being used in a way that's proper and not abusive? Because it's still experimental, and a lot of people are scared that it might, basically remove humanity and turn us all into killing machines. And it's a lot of stuff that ends up getting explored throughout the game. Adam Jensen, he's exposed to this once he returns to the job 6 months later, but he also aims to find out the truth behind what happened during the attack. And that takes him through quite a journey in a couple of days' time. So, what do I think about this game? First of all, I think that the story of this game is just absolutely interesting. It's very, very unique, I feel, because it's one of those games where you have choices, okay? There's a lot of choice presented throughout the game. Just in the gameplay itself, there's a lot of choices. For example, you could choose to negotiate your way into an area, or you could choose to sneak in, or you could choose to hack in, or you could choose to go guns blazing, or you could even potentially do a mix of all three, or all four, or however many options you have available to you. And that's what Deus Ex likes to do. It likes to present you with a couple of options of going about an area. Typically either the loud option or the stealthy option. But then occasionally there's also other things you can do, such as social coercion, varying things, and that's what I like about this game. The fact that it's so open-ended, that there's so much you can do in it. Especially just wrapping up the story. The story is just so interesting because it deals with a lot of different things. It's supposed to be a very ethically charged story. of different characters. And, you know, it's not really that any one character in their views is right or wrong necessarily. Sometimes they are, other times they're not. It's more of a battle of ideas and ideology. And I like that about this game, you know, that technically nobody's really right. Everyone has their own bias. You know, everyone has their own different side that they're viewing from. And really, as you, through Adam Jensen, you pick who you want to believe and what you want to do. So I like that about this game. I think that the gameplay, especially the stealth and the hacking, is very, very well done. For those of you who don't know, Deus Ex is I wouldn't say it's a pure or a heavy stealth based game. You could definitely do the loud option, you know, going in and shooting everybody. But in this game, you're not basically a damage sponge. You take damage very, very quickly in this game. To the point that I wouldn't recommend doing anything but the stealthy option, because a lot of times you have enemies that are way better outgraded or outfitted with a lot more offensive potential than you have. And I just wouldn't recommend it, but you can do it if you want. And gameplay, let me see. There's a couple of different things about the gameplay. At some points, the game is linear. Okay, it's a linear adventure. At other points throughout the game is very open world. It's very open-ended. You can free roam through a couple of different areas as you please, and do basically as you want. You know, you could talk to people. You could take on quests. You could kill people. It's pretty much what you want to do, what you can do. On top of that, there's side quests that you can do that will give you additional like experience, which can ultimately allow you to level up. There's a couple of different things you can do in addition to the main quest line. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the customization. So in this game, you can customize weapons. You can equip them with silencers, laser sights, tracking systems, and whatnot. You know, very futuristic tech because the game takes place in the year 2027. Also, you can add augmentations to Adam. Adam is what is now called an augmented person. Pretty much, he can now access a bunch of different abilities that, as the story explains, are in him, but he hasn't adjusted to the technology yet. But basically what happens is once you level up, you earn what is called a praxis point, which can then be spent to unlock these different upgrades. So for example, right off the start of the game, you only have a few borderline basic upgrades, and then as the game progresses, you can opt to upgrade, I don't know, your radar systems, or you could opt to add more batteries so you can do more abilities, such as taking down people or seeing through walls. You can move in complete silence. You can run for increased amounts of time. You know, a whole bunch of stuff along those lines. You can fall from any height without taking damage, which is probably one of the most important upgrades in the game, because a lot of times you're doing a lot of jumping. And you take damage very quickly in this game, and fall damage quickly adds on. So that's something I would recommend taking. There's also social coercion plays a major factor in this game. What happens is at several points throughout the game, when talking with certain people, you'll either be allowed to use what is called the Casey augmentation, which allows you to coerce them into letting them do what you want. However, the only way that you can do it is if you paid attention to the dialogue, and you know what type of person they are, either an alpha, a beta, or an omega. And if you hit them with the wrong, I believe it's pheromone, the conversation ends immediately. There's also persuasion sequences where you as Adam Jensen have to try and coerce one of the main storyline people to your side. That's different. That takes place in a first-person view instead of the typical third-person conversation. Basically, the goal is to max out the persuasion meter by the end of the conversation, which is made even easier by the Casey mod. But if you don't have it, a lot of times I would say that the Casey mod really, really helps. What it does is in terms of the story, it fleshes out the story, because sometimes you're able to convince people, part with dialogue that otherwise they wouldn't. But on the other hand, it can make things a bit too easy. But that's the whole point of it. It's to help you if you paid attention to the dialogue, then it'll help you out in the long run. Um, what else? In terms of getting around the environment, I think that the cities are pretty decently sized. There's a lot of stuff to find. You visit both of them. I believe one's Detroit, the other's called Hengsha. It's located in China. You visit both of them twice throughout the game. The other parts of the game are pretty much linear. And there's side quests to do. My only complaint about this is that there seems to be a lot more side quests the first time around when you visit these areas than the second time. I believe in each area there's only 2 side quests the second time around. When the first time around there's so many different side quests to do. Something like maybe 9 to 10 between both of them. And I just think that it's a little disappointing that the game kind of rushes towards the end, I feel, where they don't have as many side quests, as much stuff to do. But definitely, without a doubt, it's still going to be enjoyable. It's still going to be fun. Soundtrack-wise, I think this game is just fantastic. It's great. If you remember when I was playing XCOM Enemy Unknown, I said the soundtrack for this game is great, and it sounds like the guy from Deus Ex made the soundtrack. That is true. It is the same person. And graphically, this game, I mean, yeah, it looks like a game that was released in 2011. Well, duh, because that's when the game was released. But graphically, I think that this game is pretty well done. I like the art style. I like the tone of the game is a nice amber orange. I like that a lot. And I'll say, oh well, I was hoping you could. Never mind, that was a me thing. I do like it. I do like the feel of the game. I think that the game presents itself very well. I think it presents itself in a very plausible way for the most part. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Deus Ex Director's Cut. I enjoyed the original Deus Ex Human Revolution. Now, my only problem... Actually, here's another thing that I should mention. This game has a new game plus, although I think it's a little bit disappointing because I believe you can only carry over augmentations. I don't think you get your weapons back. So every playthrough you have to get your weapons back. But you carry over your praxis points and whatnot. I think that... I just lost my train of thought. I think that what they did with the boss fights was very helpful. In the original game, the boss fights were basically kill fests, meaning if you would spec yourself to basically be more of a stealthy person and, be able to hack into stuff and whatnot, and basically you were unfamiliar with the combat of the game, but you were really good at stealth, you were in for a world of hurt during the boss fights. During the boss fights of the original game, pretty much they were kill fests, meaning the whole point was to basically kill your opponent, who is a souped-up cybernetic or souped-up augmentated person who was out to kill you. And a lot of times they use very powerful weapons. It's very hard to get around them and, not take damage. And if you spec'd as a person who was only good in stealth, you were in for some problems, my friend, because ultimately that person is going to be way more powerful than you because they're spec'd to be in combat. Now, in the director's cut, they fix that. What they do is they allow you to not necessarily knock them out like a normal enemy in this game, because that's what you do a lot of times when you're trying to be stealthy. You can opt to knock out or kill someone. You can't do that to them, but however, there's other stuff that you can use, such as canisters have been added to the environment. The bosses are now a bit easier, such as, they're a bit slower. They're not as aggressive as they were. What else? There's a lot of different things you can hack into, such as you can turn on turrets now. You can do, you can, like, shoot them with robots will come out to help you. You can hack into stuff. You can spray them with gas. There's basically a lot more stuff that you can do, and the bosses are a bit less aggressive, at least on the normal difficulty. So that way, if you're trying to be a stealth person, you're not necessarily going to be that guy who has to be forced into that weird position where he has to now shoot them dead and, stuff like that. And I think that really helps because it helps diversify the amount of viable play styles in the game. So, again, trying to keep this short. Deus Ex Human Revolution, great stealth game, great game that has a good story. Again, one of my favorite games from 2011. If I had to pick my game of the year for 2011, and I enjoy it immensely. So what would I give it? What would I give Deus Ex Human Revolution? I would give Deus Ex Human Revolution a 91 out of 100, just because it's so great. It's such great fun, and I enjoy it so very much. Now, it has flaws, it has things I feel could be better, but I know what they're trying to do. I see what they're trying to go for, and it's enjoyable. It's a fun game to play, and I hope that everyone here actually does go out and play it, because it's just well done. You know, that's what I can say. It's well done, it's presentable, it's fun, and if you're looking for a good experience, a good story-based gameplay, you're gonna find it here. You're gonna find a good RPG experience, and that's what more can I recommend? It's so many, such a multifaceted game that it's gonna satisfy you if this is what you're looking for. So I'm SpraynPray1000. I hope this verdict is helpful to you, and I'll see you next time.